to Whiskey and Wine Creations YouTube channel. My name is Holly Whittle. I am designer and owner of Whiskey and Wine Creations, and with this channel I am going to be sharing tips and tricks with you to bring joy through creation. Now if you hop online and happen to see any of my social media sites, you are going to see mainly tumblers. That is my main source of creation, is tumbler making. But I do also dabble in other things, so you may occasionally see videos on those as well. So I just wanted to jump in today with a brief introduction. I'm so excited to be a part of all of you guys' day. Thank you for inviting me into your space and watching this video and checking out my channel. Today we are going to hop in right away with some tumbler preparation, because tumbler prep is the key to having a good product in the end. So starting with the tumbler itself, I work with stainless steel tumblers. You can pick them up at any numerous various locations. This particular style I ordered online, but you can also pick them up from a Walmart or a Target or just something that's close to you. I think I've even seen some at like some of the dollar stores in the area. So basically you're gonna decide which tumbler you would like to work with. You're gonna pick it on up and bring it on home. I have already taken off the lid and the wrapping that was on the outside. I keep it with the box so that once I'm done, everything is in one spot and I can just put it back together and either wrap it, gift it, ship it, whatever the case is. So you're gonna need a tumbler, you're gonna need some sandpaper. I use, this is an 80 grit paper. You can pretty much use whatever you'd like. Really what we're just trying to do is kind of rough up the surface so that our base coat of paint is going to stick to this. Also we're going to want some sort of cloth, paper towel to wipe it down with, and then I use rubbing alcohol. I believe this is 99%, but I've also used 50% in the past. When I'm out of rubbing alcohol, I have also used either acetone, or you can simply just take it to your kitchen sink and wash it with some Dawn soap, rinse it off, and then just make sure it's really dry before you start painting. Okay, so basically you're just going to take your tumbler. These tumblers, when you get them, have basically just like a little light protective coating on them, and you're going to take your sandpaper and you are just going to rough it on up. It does not matter which direction you go. For me, it's easier to go long ways just because that's how I can hold the cup the easiest. So you're just going to take your cup. Let me see if I can show you here. So you can see before we sand it, it's got just the finish on it as it came from the store. Once you start sanding it, you're going to be able to see the scratch marks in it. I hope you can see that there. Or at least a change in the finish. And you are going to go over your entire cup. It doesn't have to be super sanded down. You just want to scuff up that outer coating. You're going to go all around. And you are going to get a little bit of that dust from the finish on your hands, from the stainless. And then don't forget the bottom of your cup. I don't do it, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. There's some little grooves that you're going to want to get in there and just kind of rough it up. And then also make sure you have the lip of your cup as well. Then from there, see, finish. Whatever your method is to wipe it down, whether you are going to wash it or use the rubbing alcohol. And you're just going to wipe down all the dust off of that, because you don't want the dust to be on there when you are spraying the cup. Now there's a method that I can kind of use to test if I've sanded enough. Normally I would do this at a sink, but I don't have one here, so I'm going to show you. This is a non-sanded cup and this is the sanded cup, so there's a height difference so you can see. When you get the cup from the store, water is basically going to somewhat repel off of this cup. I don't know if you can see that, how it kind of beads up. See how it beads up there. Now, when you've sanded, it should not bead up as much. It's going to more sit on the surface. So, it beaded up a little bit, but not as much. Let me see if I can show you side by side. See how this one beads up pretty much immediately, and this one just kind of takes its time because it's falling off the cup because I'm holding it in the air. So basically that's just kind of what you want, is that will make sure that your finish is off of there. And essentially what that's doing is just creating something for your paint to bond to. You know, just like your glues and stuff, they always say whether it's good for, you know, on porous surfaces, even if you're just using like an Elmer's glue. You're not going to glue two pieces of glass together and have them stick very well. Whereas if you have a piece of paper that's got a little porous in it and you glue it to another piece of paper, because it's got something to grab onto, your paint is going to hold on your cup as the paper would glue to itself. So now I'm going to dry this off. A little more, and then to finish prepping, sorry, you are going to paint this whatever base color that you wish to use. A lot of the times I use white, just because I can prep a bunch of cups white, and then whatever glitters or inks or colors that I'm going to be putting on top of it, white is usually a good general color. Now if you have a glitter that is more translucent, like this one. Excuse me while I grab it. This one here is, it doesn't say it's translucent, but it is extra fine, and I put it on a cup the other day, and I noticed that I could basically sort of see through it to the paint that was underneath, because I had some imperfections in my base spray paint coat. And when I put this on, assuming it was going to cover it up, I could see through there. So I just had to do multiple layers of glitter, and I think I even mixed in one that was less translucent. But if you're going to have a translucent color like this, then you can base coat your color onto the cup. So like for this one, my base coat was a pink color. So then when I put this color on there, it just kind of popped that glitter a little more and made it a little bit brighter. So next, your cup goes on some sort of holder. Some people, you put it on like a turner, like a Lazy Susan, and you can spray it on there. I like to put mine on an arm. This is for my cup turner. That way it's already on there, and then I can just set it in my holder that I have behind us to let it dry. Okay, I'm going to grab my spray paint because I forgot to get that, so give me just one moment. Alright, so for base coat, for my white, I like to use this Krylon Color Max primer. It actually even says primer here on the lid. This is just a white primer, indoor, outdoor. Krylon, I believe I picked this up at Lowe's, because that's where I was the other day. Okay, you, of course, needless to say, want to be in a well-ventilated area. Normally I would do this outside. However, today in northeast Texas, we have snow. So I will not be out there. We don't normally have snow. This is the first snow we've had in a couple of years that I've been up here. And we are getting about probably close to 2 inches today, which is a lot for us. So you are going to want to Shake this up really good. And when you spray paint, you want to be careful not to get too thick because then it's going to drip. And depending on what you're doing for the end product, that may or may not matter. If you're doing something, like I said, like an opaque glitter where you're not going to be able to see through it, the drips won't matter so much. But if you're doing something where you're putting like the translucent glitter, or even sometimes like some of the alcohol inks, you're gonna see those drips through the product that you're putting over the top, and it just won't look as nice. So I'm very impatient when it comes to spray paint. I know some people say a lot of short bursts. I tend to just kind of go like this. Sometimes I get drips, sometimes I don't, it just depends. My room is pretty well ventilated, so just make sure that you're in that well ventilated area, and any personal protective equipment that you wish to wear, please do so. I am doing this like this just for video purposes. So we're going to move this chair out of the way. I'm going to scoot you over just a tad so and your base coat does not have to be solid. Don't forget the bottom. I mean, you see how it's kind of splotchy? I probably want a little more color on there than that. But I'm really just needing something besides the stainless on here. Now, some people don't even paint. I have seen some people just buy the tumbler and make whatever they're gonna make, and they say they had no problems. I have not personally tried that, just because scuffing up the surface and giving the paint something to bind to just makes sense in my head. So like I said, some people have not done any kind of sanding or anything like that. Some people have bought special paints that are supposed to be like a bonding product and use that as their base coat, and that is completely fine. There are numerous ways for tumblers to be made. This just happens to be mine, and one of the simplest ways, I guess, besides just doing it straight out of the box, that I have found. So this is my kind of go-to method, but feel free to do your research and see what works for you. You know, there is not one way to make a tumbler for every person in the world. So mine still looks a little gray in some areas, so I'm just going to go over it again. Now I have done two where I've sprayed the white base, and then, you know, say I'm prepping several cups at once, and I may do a whole bunch of white bases on them, but then, you know, when an order comes in or I want to make something specific and I want to use that translucent glitter, I have gone back and sprayed over my white with another color. So that is something that you can do as well. So this one may end up with a bright blue base, thinking about one of the cups that I've got going on. But right now we're just going to do white because I'm not certain. So like this is probably a pretty good base coat. You can see I still have some areas that are not as white as others, but overall I have pretty decent coverage. Another thing that I really like about this primer spray paint versus like a semi-gloss or a high gloss is that this stuff seems to me to dry extra fast. So as I am a little impatient, especially when it comes to spray painting, I love that factor. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to let this dry. I have a holder behind the camera here that I will set this in, and once it's dry I can move on to my next steps. So that concludes the tumbler prep. I hope you guys found that information useful. If you have liked this video, or felt that you've gained some knowledge from it or something that you might be able to use moving forward, please like the video down below. And of course, as always, if you'd like to subscribe, you will be notified of future videos and projects. And I am looking very much forward to sharing more tips and tricks with you to bring creative joy through creation. So thank you guys for joining me today. Very much a special moment for me for this inaugural video, and I'm excited to have you here, and I am excited to move forward. As always, I welcome comments as well. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to list them below, or any comments or criticism on the video. I would love to hear that also, so that I can do better moving forward. Thank you guys so much, and I hope y'all have a blessed day.